I want to talk about Ghost Loop. First off, I want to know how many people have seen Ghost Loop, even an episode? A few. Okay, great.
Who's gonna watch it after this? Please don't.
That's the same hands that said they've already seen it. Interesting. So tell us about Ghost Loop. Like, what was the show about?
It was the Jersey Shore of Nerd.
It kind of was. Does that make you want to watch it more?
No, basically what we did is we took the idea of a residual haunting and an intelligent haunting, and in theory kind of combined the two. There's a theory out there that residual hauntings are powerful enough that when you interact with them, you can actually be pulled into the scary. And that changes the whole energy of everything.
What's the term for what you just said?
I'm not saying it.
Ghost Loop. Thank you. Somebody, come on.
I'm not saying it.
So basically, that was the show. The Ghost Loop was the haunting of, we went to residential houses. We did do a bed and breakfast, which we'll talk about later. Great episode. We went in because these people needed help. We were getting calls, our production house was getting calls, and these people legitimately had not just hauntings, but hauntings that kept reoccurring in the same room, down the same hallway, showing themselves in the same corner of the bathroom. Did we do a bathroom?
Yeah.
We did not.
I'll make you guys a deal here. If you guys want to actually talk about Ghost Loop and hear Matt say the catchphrase, I need one big thing from you guys. So if you please bear with me, I'm going to count to 3, and if you guys could yell Ghost Loop at Matt, he will do a dance.
Okay.
Can you guys do that for me?
Yes.
Like, for real, can you guys do that for me?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Oh my gosh.
Twerk, big boy.
I'm not twerking. No, but I will do, I don't even know how to tap dance. What do you want me to do?
Do it.
And officially, we have a tap dancer.
I'm legitimately, I've taken dancing lessons. That was all fake. I'll show you guys if you yell at the end of this. But anyways, Ghost Loop, continue.
I forgot what I was saying.
Okay, so that was the haunting, but the other thing about the show was trigger environments.
It's funny. So we showed up yesterday. We were walking around saying hi to some of our friends, some friends we just got to meet, and friends we've had for a while. And as we were walking out to go partake in food and sunsets, we'll say, we got to the door, and we heard 2 words. Matt, what were they?
I'll be honest, I don't remember. I was not paying attention.
Too much booze. That was trigger objects.
That's right. It is actually set right here.
On stage.
So, triggered environment is based off of a trigger object. What's a trigger object?
Well, I mean, most of you guys know. Most of you guys are hunters. Most of you guys have been doing this or watching the shows and been a part of it. A trigger object is something simple, something that you adore, you love. It's a part of you. It's with you every day. Like my trigger object is Matt. If I go, I'm stuck with him. Good luck.
So what you're saying is if you pass, when you pass further down the road, way further, and I'm walking around and people are like, hey, I want to communicate with Chris Caleb Spirit. I'm the guy?
This is what you'll get.
He's actually never told me this.
No.
So for example, trigger object, here's a haunting. Old West Saloon, this man was playing cards. Gold, we'll go do gold. We love our gold, right? He cheats. The guy shoots him. The guy dies instantly. So the trigger object going into that old saloon that is now, say, a hardware store would be what? Gold. It would be maybe a bottle of booze, maybe a deck of cards.
Like turn the whole house gold.
That would be a cool environment. So we take objects and we change that word into environment.
Think about it like this. On one of the episodes we were fortunate enough to film in Washington by the Green River. And we stood at the banks of the first body drop of Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. And Matt and I had this genius idea, let's recreate that body drop. Because that'll be awesome. It wasn't awesome. It was not awesome.
No, it was dangerous.
So the idea is you take that traumatic experience and you send it back to where they had that last moment. They had that last good memory, bad memory, where they were born or where they died. And you use that to be able to draw the energy. It's like a giant superconductor, if you will.
Right. So for the Old West Saloon, that's our hardware store, we would go in as a team on Ghost Loop. We would take whatever's in the hardware store out, or wherever the Ghost Loop was, and we would turn it into an old saloon. So it wasn't just a piece of gold. It wasn't just a deck of cards. We would bring in wallpaper. We would bring in stools, tables, a lot of booze. What's that? Okay, you have a mic. You know you can talk into it. So it's basically like a movie set. You turn it into a set. And we went to antique stores, prop houses. There was a lot of locals in every town we went to. Our producers would let like locals know that we're here and this is kind of what we need. This is what we're doing. And some people would let us borrow or buy or rent some objects that were legitimately part of that haunting.
Is my pacing bothering you?
Your what?
Is my pacing bothering you?
Just kind of.
So I want you guys to think about this. So you're on a ghost hunt, and you're in a place that used to be somebody's home. They ended up doing something really bad there. You walk in there, and the house is exactly as it was on that day. What do you guys think for energy there? If you're literally putting together the scene of death, the scene where that trauma took place, what do you guys think would happen? What do you think would happen? What about you?
The tree was old. Yes.
Billy, what's going to happen? And that's our job. The one thing that made us really different, and we're going to tell you guys some of our stories, some of the things that happened, big, small, funny, not funny, sad. You might cry, you might laugh. But,
I might cry.
no cries. Okay. But the big thing we got to discuss when it comes to that is why we do this. And I think that's the biggest reason.
Yeah.
We weren't one of the groups that would go in there and say, demon be gone, or that stuff. We like to help cross spirits over. Matt, how did we do that?
How did we do that?
You.
No. So yeah, at the end, well, we got to get to it. So these trigger environments, as detailed as I just said, we would go in, find out what the haunting is. We investigate before the trigger environment. We would talk together as a team. We'd bring in all the props, right? And then because it's just so much more than what you just said. You can't just be like, well, how do we cross them over, right? How did we cross them over?
Yeah, how did we cross them over? You were the one that did it. I was one of the monitors. I just watched it.
So we had a guy as well named Sean who, his beliefs were very Catholic. He prayed. And we would have spirit boxes. We would have whatever type of ITC units to make sure that these spirits were saying amen, or they were saying, I see the light. And in our episodes, for the 7 who have seen the show, you have seen this. Like, it's very profound.
Was it 7 or was it 3? I think it was 3.
It might have been 3.5, actually.
Right on.
So that's how us as a team in Ghost Loop would do. I'm not necessarily the prayer. I try to say find the light, find your loved ones, because you never know what you're investigating. You never know, what the belief of that spirit is. So I don't want to just assume that, they believe in heaven and hell. I want to make sure that whatever their light is, whatever they need to go to next, that they find that. Caleb, I got a question.
What's up?
Again, for those of you who have seen Ghost Loop, I'm going to bring up an episode that it was our very last episode, and there's a reason it was our last episode. Okay, it's going to get a little more serious. I'm not even kidding. It doesn't seem like we can even be serious, but this is going to get serious. So,
We can.
I want you to go and tell everybody. I'll tell them about the trigger environment. Tell them about episode 8, Demon Mine in Utah.
I ate a lot of sushi. That was pretty fantastic. I didn't realize I liked sushi until that episode. It was a pretty cool, character turn. More than that, that was an episode that was very near and dear to me for one big reason. How many people in here every day deal with mental health? Some kind of mental health issue. Raise your hands. How many of you have lost a loved one due to a mental health related illness? So I'm a suicide survivor. In 2017, I tried to take my own life. If it wasn't for my baby sister, there'd be somebody prettier sitting here. But we went to Utah and we met a kid named Ty. Now, Ty was but a young man. I think he's 4 years younger than you?
Yeah, he was 20 years old.
And my date is 10/8/17. It's tattooed on my hand. And Ty and I were talking off camera, and he had attempted on 10/8/18. So we shared the same day. Him and I automatically kind of became brothers at that point because he had done something very bad the day we got greenlit. That, I think, is the craziest thing about
Oh
it.
my gosh, I forgot about that.
He attempted his life the day we got greenlit. A year later, we were with him. So, for me, it was hard because I had to tell my story on national television, and I've been a huge mental health advocate since. But I don't want you guys to take away like the somberness of that, because mental health is important. You know, we spend most of our careers in night vision. Mind you, I didn't see half of my friends in the light until like 5 years after we started ghost hunting, because we spend that much time in night vision. And then when they saw me in the light, I was like, I get why. Billy, I'm looking at you, buddy. So it boils down to, it was a very heavy episode because of the mental health connotation to it. But it was a deep in mind.
Yeah, the trigger environment for that. And here's the thing too about what you just said is this wasn't like expected. Like we showed up and producers came to us and was like, hey, especially you, this story is gonna be dark. It's gonna take a turn. There's something at this location that is a lot darker than, I don't know, that probably the mom was talking about. And so, I mean, it was a really, really, really hard time for you and for me to see you like that as well.
I ended up getting carted out in an ambulance. I mean, it looks cool.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Looks cool, but
That's what I
something I have to do.
Yeah, and so you know, we went in and we did a preliminary investigation before we talked about the trigger environment. We didn't know what the trigger environment was going to be or anything, and we got a heavy dose of dark, malevolent entity. Say it.
No.
We came to the conclusion it was probably a demon.
No.
Therefore, you weren't even there. Therefore, the trigger environment
My
was the
apologies.
history.
I was in an ambulance.
That's true. There was history of coal mining in the area. This was in South Jordan, Utah, so just south of Salt Lake City. That was the history. That is what we were going there to investigate. Some coal miner that was haunting this family, and it turned dark. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm going to continue to talk. So instead of okay, I'm gonna hold and then I'll tell you about the trigger environment.
You're good. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Sure. Okay. So the trigger environment for that, we mixed coal mining with hell. We did not have footage on that reel because it is disturbing. You will have to watch the episode. So we turned. Go ahead. You have something to say, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. So that visually was, as you can, it was hell. It was hooks. It was blood. It was incredibly dark. He actually didn't even get to see it because he was too busy eating sushi. But honestly, for me personally, we had a couple people on our team that have different opinions. This was a very controversial episode. Obviously, it focused on him because it was a bigger picture. The environment hyped that place up so hard that we didn't get rid of it. That was the one I believe we did not cross over whatever was there, especially if it was a true game.
I don't know what you did. I think one of the most incredible things about that place was the recovery of Ty. I mean, this young man went through what he went through, and all that bad stuff happened. By the time we were there, and still to this day, I talk to the kid. I still talk to him to this day. So it was one of those things for me that it was a really big learning experience because I'm kind of me, which I'm sure you guys figured out at this point. So
I don't know if they figured it out. Totally.
I did.
yeah.
So yeah, the demon mine was coal mine / hell. Not a great episode for Caleb. Really not for anyone, but it was the best episode we had.
So again, raise your hands if you see Ghostly. Raise your hand. Over here real quick. Sorry, I don't like being on stage. It makes me weird.
It makes you weird.
What was your
By the speaker, dude.
Speaker.
He's clearly not our tech guy.
What was your favorite Ghostly thing?
What was your favorite episode?
She enjoyed the one where I was in the coffin pit.
You know, that's very funny that you say that. Because that was another impactful episode. Was that a voice of God? What just happened? Was that you? Oh, okay. I'll go by the speaker. I see him coming. Oh, we're getting in trouble. Oh, here he comes. He's marching on. Okay. So it's funny you bring that episode up. So what she's talking about is episode 4. This was actually the first episode we shot. And then we shot that a couple months later, then went to shoot the rest. But that ended up being episode 4. That trigger environment was amazing because A, it was our first one that we did. We had 2 trigger environments in one episode. Oh, he's getting in trouble. Bye, Caleb. Okay.
I got in trouble, guys.
So I want to ask you. So I just said like 2 trigger environments. Talk about that episode because that one also was really you.
That, what, Florida?
Yeah.
Before we go there, did anyone over here raise their hand and say they watched Ghost Loop? Or did any of you guys raise
You
their
guys
hand?
don't have to be shy. It's okay. He's not gonna go up to you and make you speak. Oh wait.
I can't go by the speakers. I gotta try to yell that for you.
I didn't know he was doing this, by the way. So this is all a surprise.
My big thing is, we're no different than any other ghost hunters out there because we've been on TV. So I want people to like interact with us. That's what we do. What was your favorite Ghost Loop thing?
Okay, so in the first episode, he gets in a fight with this guy because he was compromised. And he said it was because of the demon. And I thought it was really funny.
Are you asking me if I was compromised or what are you asking?
You were compromised because you said a lot. You said you were compromised. He was probably compromised. Everybody was compromised.
Guys, that was our first episode too.
There was a lot of compromise in that episode.
Everyone was compromised in episode 1.
Not sure Matt wasn't compromised.
Yeah, you literally said in the episode, "Do you feel compromised?" And I said, "Yeah," because my neck was burning. Remember that? See, she knows.
We were compromised.
Wow.
Is that like intriguing? Oh, okay.
I just figured I'll be compromised too if everyone else is.
Should have named that episode "Compromised," Houston, Texas.
So in Houston,
No, wait. Talk about 4 real quick.
what, 4?
Talk about 4. I really want. This is a really like. I'm gonna use this word. He's gonna kill me. Touching episode. Caleb, what was different about you than the other 4 investigators on our team on the show?
So the big thing about me is I'm a dad. I'm a dad first. I got babies at home, and my girls are my world. And we had the spirit. It was at first we were just horrified. We thought this thing was this malevolent, gonna eat your face, just mean looking, like thing from the ring.
Yeah.
And at one point we were in an investigation, and this thing pops out of the woods. It scares me to the point where I chuck my hat. I'm like, I'm not doing this. Nope, not doing it anymore. Talked to Matt, and come to find out, this thing was coming to me because I'm a parent. So I kind of had an idea of what was going on. I kind of had an idea as far as like what it would be like to lose your kid and search for them. So it was definitely a really weird experience.
But it changed the episode completely because again they said, "Oh, you know, it's Samara from the ring. She's crawling on the ceiling," and she was, and she's scary, and she's scaring, you know, the homeowner's grandkid, and the homeowner was terrified, and her grandkids didn't even want to come over because they were scared. And that experience that he had when he saw that face come out of the woods, and there's a drawing that I have on my phone. I guess I can't play it. See me after. I'll show you what it looked like. It changed the projection of that whole episode, which led to the 2 trigger environments because.
I just gotta say, I got the most comfortable nap in that coffin when I was in there. It literally was the best nap I've had in a long time.
We were tired. That was a very tiring episode of film. But
Rest like the dead.
Ah, I see what you did
good
there.
one.
My favorite part of that episode, and like it was so showed you that I was not ready for TV. I was laying in the coffin. I'm like, oh my god, it's colder down here. Well, duh, you're under the ground, Chris. It's colder here. So, it
Well,
just,
okay, so describe to them. You're saying coffin. We haven't even described the trigger environment for that.
I was 4 feet.
It's a 4. Yeah, it was both graves were 4 feet down. We didn't go 6 feet because we didn't have enough time.
Yeah, we done 4-foot graves for a small human and a big human to try to cross this child, this mother and child over. Well, she wasn't going unless I went with her. So we took a small porcelain. This is probably one of the hardest things I ever did. Matt and I had to put a small porcelain doll inside a small little baby coffin,
It's actually in the reel too. This trigger environment is what you're talking about.
and it was heartbreaking. But more than that, I had to get in the other coffin.
Yep.
So I got to jump down there, and I got to do a good nap. But at the same time, what is it? There was something that was said on the spirit box when I was down there.
I don't remember what it was, but all I know is that's exactly what I'm gonna say. It closed the cycle of the loop. I'm sorry, I had to say it. That was our little saying on the show. Yeah. So where was that trigger environment though? It wasn't just in the middle of a field.
They had a large property, but what that used to be was a place where they would take children that were deceased at birth and just put them in a hole.
Yeah, before we even built the trigger environment, we heard disembodied baby cries very, very clear. I still get chills to this day. So we didn't even decide to make 2 trigger environments for this episode, but because of that and what you had experienced, we decided to make that grave because that was going to be the closure for these spirits. The other trigger environment, which was the main one, what was going to be the main one, we did a 1920s nursery, which was actually in the reel as well. If you saw like the rocking horse and all of those objects, that was the 1920s nursery.
Well, the huge part is these trigger environments, these weren't just like thrown together by a prop environment. We were putting up wallpaper. Like, we're talking wallpaper from that era, that time.
On all walls.
Like, asbestos, like we were just putting all of it, all the stuff that was there, so that way it could definitely have that same feel, that same energy, that same basic just like power that it had in that moment. Because that moment was something very, very, very special to whoever that person was. So over here it was a nursery because we can go to the nursery to look for her kid, and then we can lay her and her baby to rest. So it was a cemetery nursery.
Yep, and again, that was the first episode we filmed, and this is when I really truly started believing, well, okay, when these trigger environments are made right, they work. In the nursery, we had, what was it, a Geoport? So it's just basically scans through radio. It's like it looks like a mini karaoke machine. It popped. It made a popping sound and smoked. And it's never done that. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had that happen. If you have one of those pieces of equipment, our team, our guy who owned it, Sean, he's never seen it. Eric never saw it. They blamed me because I was the youngest, and I was always the one that got all the blame. But like the evidence
It was bitter.
What'd you say?
Bitter.
Was better. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I want to talk about a trigger environment we did for episode 3 that really messed me up.
Well, let me lead you this one. So we go out to Alabama, and that place is so full of history and so incredible itself that it was heavy. When we got there, it was heavy. We started hearing what happened, started figuring out the story. It was some pretty twisted stuff. So naturally, we built a moonshine still. Anybody here ever had moonshine before?
Yeah, there we go.
Ain't good. It ain't good. So we built this still, and at this point, I'm so proud of Matt because how far he's come along with his clairsentience. Is that right?
You said it right.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Put on a shirt.
What?
Clairsentience on a shirt with a definition.
Yeah, I'm back. You're right.
Anyway,
Okay, continue.
so we build this moonshine still, and I'm like, Matt needs to go out there. Matt's got this. He's
But why? Like, tell them why. It wasn't just because I enjoy moonshine more than the rest of the crew. Why?
It was your birthday,
It was also my birthday. But why else?
because I didn't want to.
That's true. So the haunting was there was these 2 cousins who were mid-20s. I was in the mid-20s. Spoiler alert. You're right. You can say that in the mic. It's fine. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen the show, spoiler alert. And for some odd reason, they were very, very attracted to me. They responded to me every time.
Oh gee, I wonder. I'm wearing a tight gray T-shirt in the middle of Bama in summer. I'm glistening.
Oh yeah.
Why would they be attracted to
Things
you,
are
Matt?
Well, what do you want from me, all right? So I was thrown into this environment. These 2 cousins ended up getting in a fight because they were the 2 best moonshiners in the South at the time. And this was 1912-ish. And they had a physical altercation, and they killed each other. Oh no, the guy, Cicero, killed.
Cicero was killed.
Cicero was one killed, and that's why he's so
His
haunted.
cousin gunned him from side to side.
Yeah, and then said it was an accident.
Like stabbed the guts.
Yeah. So, anyways, it wasn't that. Their energy in general wasn't great.
Fun fact, he got off that deal. He didn't go to jail.
Did not go to
Moonshiners.
jail. He did that. He did that young though. Anyways, we go on a tangent. So this trigger environment, the moon still, and it was the first scene you guys saw when I'm walking in, and and the lady kept the whole trigger environment. She bought it from us, which is awesome because it saved like 3 days of filming.
See, how about that? Not only did we help the spirit and help the homeowner, we even made our production house a little bit of money by selling the trigger environment.
Yeah. So this trigger environment really affected me because I went in, and instead of trying to help these spirits cross over, I started antagonizing. It wasn't really meant to happen like that. Something just came over me that I had a knife, I was throwing it around just like Stroh's cousin did when he killed him. And I got to a point where
You guys ever seen a chihuahua, right? Just a little baby chihuahua. And it gets next to somebody and thinks it's a bigger dog than it is, so it starts shaking like this and like, rah. That was Matt with a knife. It was this cute little Matt trying to be deadly. And it was pretty awesome.
he's not lying. I don't know about the Chihuahua thing,
It fits.
but yeah, that's kind of legit. So
Push me.
So what happened was I got to a point where the knife was down and everything, this is the first time this has ever happened, this is going to go into the clairsentient conversation. Everything went red. And I remember watching back this episode. Sean Austin comes up to me and goes, hey, you should probably like put the knife down. Like nothing good is happening. And through the spirit box, the SP7 spirit box, it said, I hate you. And I look at Sean, in the episode, I don't remember this. I look at Sean, and I go, done like you. And I'm not kidding, I can't watch the episode. I've only seen it twice. Really, you've only seen it once? And that's why we were a little rough on the history. My eyes were glossed over.
It was one of Matt's best. Like, he has 3 good one-liners in the series, and that one's like a solid number 2.
But that's the thing, it wasn't me saying it.
Point blank, he looked right at Sean, just like this. He goes, oh, I don't like you.
Doesn't like you. And then so, fast forward a little bit. I want you to tell what happened. This whole episode, oh my god, this is where Jersey Shore comes in. So I'm starting to get my ground back. I go walk away, I go to the woods and kind of like start feeling the ground, and I have a camera guy following me, and I'm kind of pissed that he's following me, even though I get it. And I look back, and I hear screaming from you.
So let's bring it back full circle. So not only do these triggered environments create a lot of energy for the spirit, but it creates energy for those who are involved. So every time we're dealing with this stuff, every time that we're around one of these things or in it, we are now being inundated by the same energy that we have there for the spirit. So I wasn't exactly a nice person back then. It was many years ago. I've grown up since then. And Sean was supposed to be mentoring Matt. Matt in his trigger environment, you can just watch how this superconductor was just pumping energy into Matt.
Oh, 100%.
Watch his eyes glaze over. You watch him kind of shake around a little bit. You can kind of watch him go in and out of being Matt.
I'll be honest, I'm
watch
like
Cicero show up.
uncomfortable. I'm like uncomfortable talking about this. I didn't even think we were going to talk about it this much, but I'm like so fucking weird right now. But
That's the big thing. So our big thing is we're going to talk about trigger environments, right? These things can influence everything that you're about. The same thing with trigger object, right? So you have a trigger object in your home, that can influence a small object in the house, right? Wherever that object is, that something can come to it. With these trigger environments, I mean, you're setting off a nuke, just a spiritual nuke, and all that energy just comes out. When we were in Florida, for example, the trigger environments we had were so impactful that activity started spurring up in random locations around the property. An old what, train bridge?
that was in Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, that was Lubbock.
No, Florida.
It was Florida.
So the thing is, I have to understand the work that Matt and I've done. It was fun being on TV. I know it was great, but doing these things and being a part of these things, it messed with all of us because we were part of it all the time. We worked every day. We were in these trigger environments every day. We were trying to cross things over, trying to talk to things.
Yeah, and I think another big thing about these trigger environments is, especially like being on set all the time, that's what I do with my side job, is like you really get into the character. And at first I'm like, this is awesome, you know, first episode. Who talked about the first episode? Yes, when we were all compromised. So that haunting was a wife or girlfriend killed her abusive boyfriend, shot him in the back of the head.
God, he liked you.
He liked me.
Liked you.
When we built this trigger environment, I just, for some reason, told Chris Starr, who's the only girl on our team, I said, take that fake gun, go ahead. You know what I mean? It was obviously fake, but I wanted to be in that spirit's shoes. And I think by episode 3, it got too dangerous because I opened myself up too much in the first couple episodes, and I'm still working on that clairsentient ability. So all of that mixed, of course, with filming a production and having, you know, just a bunch of stuff go on in general, like even offset, it was dangerous. But that's the thing about these trigger environments is, I don't want to compare to Ouija board, hell, but they're dangerous.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that doing what we do, a lot of you guys know that doing what we do, it messes with you, right? How many ghost hunters have walked away? How many people are here? Ghost hunters have walked away from an investigation where you're like, I'm not the same now. Like that changed me. Anybody? Anyone raise their hands? Please tell me.
That my soul and it was a son, something that I had to minimize something. And in detail, and it was very rare. And it was the only way he could achieve being what he and I was angry. This is something that I had to do. All to do. Time does not exist. It's non-existent. You know, you can go back in time and it's something that we plan together to do so that we can become this become. And I have to do it. And
I agree. I want you to think, first off, I want to say thank you so much for sharing, but I want you to, so what we discussed, I want you to think about this. Time wasn't there. Nothing was there. Everything went away. Now imagine having that charged up 10 times higher. Because now you're sitting in the most important spot you've ever sat in with. You now have the surrounding of the most beautiful date, most beautiful time. So now you have all of that energy charging your experience. What's your name? Candace, we're gonna talk more about this after we're done with this talk. You don't mind? We'd like to talk more. Can we give Candace a round of applause for sharing the story, guys? Okay, come on. Can we give her a round of applause, guys?
That's shit. I love it.
That's up there crying out. Being mad. Like, look at him. You're like
I
listening.
barely hear you, dude.
You're glistening.
There you go. No, sometimes I don't listen to you. It's kind of nice.
I know, right?
Yeah. So I got a question for you, Caleb.
Hold on. So as we were discussing, so you go to that hunt, you have that dark time, that dark place, you walk away. Now you're immersed in it every day. And it's for your job. You get paid to do it, so you think it's cool. It's not. It's not. I never saw the Utah trigger marker. Never saw
Demon
it.
mind. Demon mind. Yeah, you never saw it.
And yet I still felt it every day we were there. I knew exactly where it was, I knew what it smelled like, I knew it was in there, and I had never seen it until it aired on national TV. But I knew it was there. Because that particular scenario impacted me. And it changed. It changed me as a human being. I stopped being so angry, I stopped being so mean, I stopped being so upset because there's bigger things going on than we even could possibly fathom.
So, question to you, like, so if we went to these houses and investigated and tried to figure out what the ghost group was, but we did not do this whole trigger environment thing, like, how do you think our series would have went?
I mean, we'd have been Ghost Adventures 2.0.
Wow.
Drama.
Yeah, I mean, we're not wrestling each other to the ground, but we kind of wanted to.
Fact.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trigger environments, and again, Ghost Loop's the title, Ghost Loop's kind of haunting, I get all that, I love all that, but I'm obsessed with these trigger environments, and we've talked about how dangerous they are, how much they have affected you and I. We haven't been the same since.
Let's talk about the fun we've had.
The fun we've had?
I'm gonna say Lubbock.
Oh, Lubbock, Texas. Describe Lubbock.
Lubbock is a town in Texas.
If you have not seen the show, you kind of sort of have an idea, but now you really do have to go watch it because the details of these trigger environments are ridiculous.
So, Lubbock, Texas is a city in Texas. It's actually really cool to be there. It was the first time I was like, okay, it's cold now. This is great. But
We all got in trouble for getting new haircuts, by the way.
I got in police trouble for that. He did for this haircut.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Okay, continue.
Anyway, we got to recreate an actual turn of the century train car. Legitimate train car. Down to the rows, the booths, almost the windows. We had siding, we had everything. It was legitimately a train car. But why was that, Matt? Why was that the trigger environment of choice?
Before I get to that, I think the craziest thing about where this trigger environment was, it was in their dang living room. We didn't build this in their backyard. I know, and it's funny. I see your face because I thought the same thing. I thought, wow, we're sitting here, we're talking about a train car. The producers agree. How are we gonna do this? I can't picture it.
We went on one dark day. We come back and we walk into the house and we're getting mic'd up and wired up. Matt and I walk in the back door and there's just a piece of wood. I'm like, it just smacks me in the face. I'm like, what is this doing right here in the doorway? So we squeeze through, we walk in, we're like, holy crap, we are in 1874 train car. What is going on right now?
So this is Lubbock, episode 2. This was somewhat in the real as well. The reason why we had a train car is because there was this, we called him the tall man, not our choice, he was tall. And apparently he was throwing people off, robbing people and throwing them off the train that was in the cemetery where who was buried?
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly's grave. Go about 2 football fields down, it's the train. It's the train tracks, it's a huge bridge. He actually got to interview somebody.
They called it Hell's Gate.
They called it Hell's Gate. So again, this is one of those scenarios where we go in, we get a story, it's like, okay, we kind of have an idea what the trigger environment is, especially after the preliminary investigation, and it just completely changes. And that's why we do the we haven't even brought this up. That's why you do a preliminary investigation before the trigger environment. You just gotta know what you're gonna do.
Well, I think that one question I want to ask is our time is starting to wind down with you guys, which sucks, because I think you guys are incredible. You guys have been awesome tonight for hearing us and putting up with us, wandering around and talking about nonsense. But in closing, I'm going to ask a question to all of you guys, just to think about. But Matt, I asked this question to you specifically. What would Matt Lytle's trigger environment be? What trigger environment would summon Matthew Lytle?
Ooh, this is a surprise. You actually came up with a good question.
Boom.
Oh, I love it. Oh, man, you put me on the spot. Honestly, I mean, that's tough.
Well, let's ask a couple people what we think.
Yeah, please do.
What would be something in his trigger environment, you think?
Tattoo chair.
Ooh, I did.
What about you? What do you think?